Okay.
The recording now.
We have a new member.
All right, so let's go to,
That's so interesting. David, that was a mellifluous cough. And it brought you right up on the screen. That's awesome.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'm going to mention a public comment, non-agenda item right now, since everybody's here, and this certainly applies to our guest, the Boy Scout. Reports are coming in from all quarters in San Pedro now about daytime sightings of coyotes. It's getting a little nerve-wracking. We have a brand new puppy who is just bite-sized for a coyote. So we're obviously being careful about him, and I trust everyone will be. I'm sure you've all gotten, messages on social media or whatever with photographs or films, even videos of coyotes in broad daylight. They started in our neighborhood last week at night, or maybe even the week before, but now it's broad daylight. So certainly an item of concern. And I feel as though I'll put it on next month's agenda for this committee. It's a fact of life and an act of nature, and we all need to be aware of it. Be very, very careful.
somebody just spotted one last night. They said going up Capitol.
Well, yeah, up Capitol and over on over in the Taper Avenue area on Amelia or one of those streets. And we've had them on our cul-de-sac here repeatedly at night. And our neighbor next door to us here on Cabrillo left for the park this morning and spotted one in the park at 8:20 in the morning. So they're a fact of life.
Could I just say real quick, Dan?
Yes,
You know what we need? We need road runners.
we sure do.
Yes. But I
Except
believe Amazon took over Acme, so they have to get their anvils from them.
Well, yeah, and I imagine the city still has some sort of ban on Arizona or something. I'm not sure we can import any.
Oh, you're right.
But that would be handy, that's for sure.
And I'm assuming everyone knows that trapping coyotes, shooting at coyotes, doing anything to coyotes is actually not legal.
Absolutely, and
So-
I was appalled to hear that one of my neighbors, who is a not a sportsman, but he's got guns, boasted that don't worry about them, I'll take care of them. Come on, idiot, stop. We have cases here in our neighborhood where raccoons you can trap raccoons, and that's been done, and they've been taken up to Peck Park repeatedly, and the raccoons are back, same one, within 24 hours. They know exactly how to
We
come
had a
back.
raccoon in our backyard last week, and my husband called Trapper John, and he won like $200 to remove it, and he lets them go like in the Malibu area.
Well, yeah, make it somebody else's problem, not ours. That's
it's-
good, I like it.
Yeah.
We had a family living under our deck last year. And once they finally left, Kathleen spent a month of weekends shoring things up and filling cracks at the deck and keeping them out. So far, it seems to have been effective. John, are we ready to go, please?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, I
He
don't
can't-
like to interrupt people.
Yeah,
It's very
Dan can't
rude.
see the screen, John. Remember that.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay.
I can
So I'm
see you
gonna
as
bring-
you speak.
I'm
And-
gonna
and,
bring the letter for the train.
Thank you very much.
And Pat has disappeared.
Well, can you
Did?
blame him?
Yeah.
He'll
No
probably be
Oh,
commentary.
well,
back.
hang on.
Just the facts, no commentary.
Well, I gotta stop sharing because I can't get in it without, you know that.
John, next
no,
time
wait
I'm
a
there, I'll
second.
show you
Nope,
how
I
to
got
do
it.
this.
No, I found it. It's at the top of the page.
So moving on and trying to further,
I don't know where
Communi-
Pat went to.
that's all right. It's okay. It's fine.
He's not
um,
in,
We are ready to submit a letter to the Harbor Commission requesting that it dedicate energy and funds to creating quiet zones at the railroad intersections around the port. Most particularly, we're hoping along Harry Bridges and what is it, the other direction? From Channel, Harry Bridges and
Gibson.
Pacific?
John S. Gibson Boulevard.
Gibson, thank you. Gibson and Bridges, lions and tigers and bears and spider monkeys. But particularly there and on the spur line down to the tanks at Westmont and Gaffey. So,
hang on a second. Yes, Lori.
Dan, I want to let you know that at the port president chamber meeting last night, and Doug was there, the ports asked that if you're going to put something on your agenda that involves the port, that you give them a heads up so that they A, could possibly research it, and B, possibly have somebody at the meeting who could answer questions before we, even send the letter. Do I have that right, Doug?
Yeah,
Isn't that what they said last night, that if you're going to have, because they mentioned that there was a couple of sustainability items and one
Right.
item issues. So they saw that it was on there, but they're asking that you give them, so go to Augie is the person.
Yeah.
Give them a heads up that you want to look at this issue, and it might save us some time in the long run.
that's fine. That's fine. I wanted this letter mostly to be seen by the committee, but it doesn't have to be, we don't need to motion it tonight. We don't need to move it tonight or pass a motion. I wanted the committee to see this letter. Are you able to put that up, John, or not? John, you're on mute. Or am
It's
I
up.
on mute?
It's
Oh,
up.
there you are. There you are. Can
No,
you
it's
put the
not.
What do you mean the letter's not up? Yes, it is.
Well, not on our screens.
I see the agenda, John.
John, you have to close the agenda.
Oh, okay, wait a
You
second.
have to
then.
stop sharing and then share if you don't have them lined up right next to each other.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
Lori,
I see how it is.
I hear what you're saying and I
Yeah.
put it in the category.
I'm just passing the message on. I'm just.
Yep, you're
I-
right. Yeah, that's good, and
I hear
how's
what you're
that? Can you
saying.
see it now?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
I put
you hear
this
me
in the
now?
thank you, John. I put this in the category of cooler heads prevailing. It's not we're not irate. We are looking for a solution long-term. I wanted the committee to examine the letter, to read it over, see if they wanted to add anything to it. A good friend of our committee suggested that we send it directly to the Board of Harbor Commissioners, but I absolutely want the port to be aware of it. Yes, if it does anything to make our request seem more reasonable, that's fine. And I'm happy to not ask for a motion on this tonight, but I do want us to review the letter and see if people agree with the gist of it. We're asking for the port to spend money essentially to add more railroad intersection arms to close off intersections between tracks and streets. And as you approach an intersection now, we were hoping to have 4 arms come down instead of 2, so that people can't do S curves around the arms to beat the train. That's the whole point. And if we can persuade the port to spend money to do this, then they can create what is called a quiet zone at each of these intersections. And if we are able to persuade them to do them at the right intersections, the correct intersections, then we'll have a lot less train noise at all hours of the day and night. And if Pat is there, I hope I stated that properly.
Pat's not here.
Pat's not
Okay.
there.
Well, Lori, I absolutely hear what you have said, and I think it makes sense to me. I'm not trying to be confrontational or abrupt. So,
And that wasn't the way it was meant. It was meant that if they
No,
were
I know
getting
that-
table with
yeah.
you, they might be able to say, oh yeah, go ahead and send that, or, we can't do this, we can do that. So it's more to try and maybe speed up the process. And I see you're sending it to the Board of Commissioners. I definitely would send it to Augie and possibly Mike Galvin too.
well, yes, this is the final letter that we would be sending. Certainly, if we're having it previewed by the port, it would go to Augie and whoever else is recommended. That's fine. And I'm perfectly happy to table this, and if no one has any objection to the letter itself, either the tone or the content, then I would like to forward this to the port, to the people Lori just mentioned.
Dan, did you post this letter as a supporting document for this meeting?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, this is the first, this is the first view of it. I had written a draft some time ago, and this is wordsmithed and edited. So it's less wordy and I hope more effective. So no, it hasn't been posted anywhere. I would like the committee to, who now all have copies of it, I'd like the committee to review it. If you see anything wrong with it, please let John or me know, and we can talk about it or make changes. And I'll be happy to forward it, say, at the end of the week to Augie and anybody else who is relevant at the port, and let them check it out.
You
However-
can't send it,
however,
send it to
we-
the board votes.
Thank you, Lori.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, we gotta know, because we gotta motion it here, and then the board's gotta, give us the blessings.
Lori, I appreciate, John's right. Yeah, come on. We will be happy to work with the port in any way it wishes.
I think maybe I stated it wrong, Dan. It's not that.
No, you stated it perfectly well. It's just, let's set that aside. I would ask for a motion for the committee to review this letter. And if it's considered reasonable, I'd like to vote on it and send it to our board for approval as a document from our committee and from the board. Then, again, there's no timeline on this. We're simply making a request of the port. They can kick it back to us 100%, or they can send it back and say, well, let's think about it, or send it to this group or that group. What I'm trying to do is initiate a request from our neighborhood to the port. So I sort of take back what I said. I would like to hear a motion to approve this letter to forward to our board
Well,
for its next
as-
meeting.
As written or just the general idea?
As written.
Well, because I made some tweaks and sent it to the two of you, you and John,
Okay,
but it wasn't a lot of it wasn't really content change. It was taking the paragraph, what is it, the third main paragraph where it lists the areas where
Yes,
it's been disruptive, and turn that into bullets to make it easier to read.
that's fine.
But the content itself is virtually identical.
Okay. I will, then, if you're not changing the content, but we're reformatting that middle paragraph,
Right.
that's fine. Happy to entertain that. And I would be happy to do that. So with that in mind,
Well, we don't have to vote on it tonight, right? We could do it next month.
we don't
Or
have
do
to
it-
ever do it. But as has been pointed out, it's not going to go anywhere. I can't even send it to Augie without our board having approved it.
Right, so we can make the corrections and everything, see what Vic sent us, we can do the corrections. Is there any other corrections from anybody else?
One possible suggestion where it talks about the 58 such quiet zones. Would it be good to cite where you got that information from? Like, according to such and such, there are 58 such quiet zones.
As near as I can tell, this is very well documented. And anybody who's ever heard the term quiet zone knows how many there are in California. I had originally written a lot more specific information about why we do that, why to do this and that. This is all well documented in the Federal Railway Administration rule book, and I'm inclined to leave it alone.
I
But-
agree with Vic that just quoting the source is just covering us.
Very well, happy to make that change.
But I mean, I'm just giving my input. I'm not
Happy
a
to make
voting
that
member.
change. Happy to make that change.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well,
Okay,
Anything else? So I will cite the source for the numbers of quiet zones in the state and in the county. And we'll look at Vic's
Email.
reconfiguration of the central paragraph there and make it into bullet points.
okay.
Thank you. And so we come back to, well, I guess let's leave it alone. I'll make the changes, send it to the committee for review, and we'll revisit this next month. And then forward it to the board. Now, what that does, though, I certainly agree the port should have a look at it. But you know, Lori, I hear what you're saying, but I'm inclined not to do that. Let's send the letter.
You know, I wasn't saying that they needed to see the letter. I was saying that when you have it as an agenda item, you just email Augie and say, Augie, just letting you know this is on the agenda, and then they could choose to show up or not. I wasn't saying you needed to send the letter to them to read ahead of time. That's why I said maybe I didn't state it clearly. It's just
Okay.
giving them advance notice that you're talking about something related
right.
to the port.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, well, I need I need an assist here. Do we move this forward tonight or make the corrections and bring it back up at this meeting next month with due notice to the port that we'll be talking about it?
You guys think?
I think the silence says, let's set it aside, make the changes, which I agree are quite reasonable.
Yeah.
And let's put it on our agenda for next month and make a specific invite to the port to be here.
Okay,
And after next month, there may be a new board anyway, who knows? So thank you. Let's, we're setting that aside. I guess we're tabling it because, well, if it isn't actually a motion, then we're not tabling a motion.
well,
We
we're
never
gonna
got to-
fix it. Yeah,
so
we're
we
gonna
just
fix
had-
it and then bring
so-
it next. Week.
We're not tabling it, it was a discussion tonight. That discussion will continue next month. The next item is I think this is premature for a motion as well. We've heard comments and requests for assistance regarding certain alleys up in the Holy Trinity area. They're a bloody mess. They're haven't been repaved. If they were ever repaved, it hasn't been in 50 or 60 years. They are long alleys between, help me, John Walker and John,
Yes, I'm there. Hang on.
between, they're in the Holy Trinity area. They're long alleys. They need to be repaved. So the question becomes, what do we do with this? The answer seems to be, great, here's John's evidence. And it's excellent evidence.
Yeah, this is one of the roads we went to. I mean, it goes up on the sides and it's higher where you see me moving the arrow. It's high
Yes.
there, and then down here it's about 3-4 inches
Yeah.
low here. It's all raised up. But then when we went over it, we thought we were in the Mint 400 race over in Las Vegas with all the moguls.
Yeah, it's a bloody mess. And this is typical of long stretches of two big alleys and a perpendicular alley near the northwestern corner of Holy Trinity Church.
Here's another one that's there. See, you can see how it's raised up and down here.
Well, but these pictures don't do justice to the fact that your suspension of your car gets a workout every time you move up and down these alleys. So they clearly need to have work done. And I've spoke to the Bureau of Street Services, and there's a division of the Bureau of Street Services whose name I had here. It's now, of course, I've lost it, but, oh, here it is. Here it is. It's the Street Renewal Department within the Bureau of Street Services. So I'm going to, before this actually becomes an item here for us, I'm going to forward this to that office and ask what the procedure is, whether we need to get residents involved in signing petitions to have it done, whether it can be placed on a schedule that the city keeps for the repaving or renewal of streets and alleys, or whether they simply tell us there isn't any money and we're not ever going to do it. We would like to know the answer. So rather than this being a motion tonight, we will try to do some due diligence on it and bring it back again next month to the committee to
Well,
see
I don't think that they don't have the money to do it, because I drove around San Pedro yesterday and, or actually Sunday too. And there's all kinds of roads being redone.
correct.
There's all kinds. I mean, from Pacific to Mesa, or, Pacific all the way to Harbor. I've seen it where it's Pacific up to Gaffey. There's all kinds of streets up and down from First all the way down to 22nd. I mean, and even over on our side, western side, you'll see a bunch of new repavements. Remember when we passed, remember First Street, they were redoing that whole
Yes,
section between
Yes.
Walker and the other street below. So yeah, they're out there working. So
yes, they are. And what I think it may be relevant is, as any of us who live down here by Harbor Highlands recall, the streets were redone, I don't know, a couple of years ago, very poorly. We had requested that a certain level of work be done to them. And of course, what we got was a slurry coat. Slurry coats don't last very long, but they look good for a while. That is what doesn't come off on your car tires, looks pretty good. John, I think most of the things you're talking about are probably on a schedule to be repaired. There is a master schedule in the Bureau of Street Services about every street in Los Angeles and when it will be repaved. And when our street got involved a few years ago in the repaving or re-tarring process, we were told that that list was decades long. Decades, 50, 60, 70 years into the future.
Well, you know where Lori
Yeah.
and I work, they just redid our street.
Well, I know, and that may have been on an agenda, on their agenda since 1966. It's hard to say.
Could I weigh in real quickly here?
Please, of
First
course.
of all, just a little trivia thing. The slurry seal, that's actually made with flaming hot Cheetos that are rejected at the factory. But secondly, alley repaving and street repaving are two different programs,
Yes,
completely separate.
got it.
And as someone who has tried for years to get alleys repaved, particularly east of Gaffey in our area, there are alleys that are every bit as bad as this and worse. They're
Absolutely.
basically just dirt. And going all the way back to Janice Hahn, trying to get any alleys done is really, really difficult. So, I don't know what to tell you. I'm assuming a lot of these alleys are just ripped up by garbage trucks.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, some of
And
these things were so
That's the
bad.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them
Yes.
were so bad, Doug. I mean, you saw the one, it's like 5, 6 inches. I mean,
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
literally, to go in his garage, he has to go over a big, like a curb. to
Yeah,
get
no,
into the-
I've seen people's garage doors blocked by piled up asphalt
Yeah,
in places. So
Why
it's-
haven't these people come to us, to come to the neighborhood councils and ask for any of this?
that's the same thing that Dan and I said in the car.
I don't
go,
know,
"Why-"
coastal, they came to coastal, I mean, we got a lot of it at coastal, so.
that
maybe-
even
Well,
the
we've
people
had-
that live, the people that live there, that's what Dan and I was saying. Why aren't these people bitching to us about this alleyway? They've got, I mean, the other thing that was disgusting too, and I'm sure you got it over there, Doug. There's chairs, like 5, 6 different old chairs that they got outside, bricks, blocks. We even saw a block wall that's about ready to collapse, could fall on somebody, that it's separated so bad. We saw piles of wood that just left out there, it's just unbelievable. And nobody says nothing,
Nope.
Well, it's
That's
possible
correct.
they don't know to come to the neighborhood council and that maybe they've been complaining elsewhere. That's always a possibility.
Well, that certainly is.
Yeah.
Or they've tried it before and failed and given up, or who knows? The coastal is such a bulldog about so many things. I can't imagine they gave up.
No, I gotta tell you, it was really, really tough. I mean, because
Well,
the
it's-
city just doesn't want to spend money on alleys. They just don't.
I understand that, and in fact, I do know that in certain parts of the city, and I can specifically cite several cases parallel to Jefferson and between Jefferson and Obama Boulevard up in Mid-City, south of Mid-City, south of the 10, several long alleys, like from La Brea to almost over to the Coliseum, have been, that are lined by commercial properties, have been given back to those commercial properties. They're no longer public alleys. Now, most of the businesses treat them as public during the day, but they have gated them off at night, which is fascinating to me. We can, it's just astounding that it's an example of a city giving up, I think. But that's what's happening there. And, I around here in a residential setting, I don't think you'd ever want to do that because of the need for access by fire vehicles and that sort of thing. So it's a real problem. What I wanted to do, and this frankly is related to self-education, I suppose, is I wanted to find out what the process is. If there's a process, Doug seems to indicate if there is one, it's
There is one, and
ludicrously out of touch. But I would like to start pressing them for some answers and, you know, don't make it into a cause celeb, but make it into an ongoing concern of ours. We may want to ask for people to tell us other alleys that need work. Maybe we can have a contest to see which one is worse. You know, God knows, we can give away trips and money to get people vaccinated. Maybe we can find some way to stimulate someone's interest in doing this work. And, you know, it really is, it really only affects the people on the alleys. Maybe they don't want them cleaned up. Maybe they don't want people racing through there. Because even if you're a miscreant, if you're a thief or somebody casing the neighborhood, you won't be driving very fast through that alley. And it's certainly not a very good escape route. So perhaps, I don't know.
Well, there's
Perhaps
some of them.
people
that's
regard
gonna-
it as some kind of security thing. I don't know. I just don't know. But I would like to find out the process. And I know Doug's group has already done the work, but I'd like to find out what it is. And Lori, maybe we can put it out as a suggestion to people. Here's the process. This is what happens. The only way it's ever going to happen is if we build community consensus or neighborhood consensus, or if we yell loud enough. But here's the process. Shall we proceed with trying to do something?
You know,
And-
maybe they like the Northwest Division better than they do Coastal. You never know.
Oh, I'm sure that's what it is. Yeah.
Well,
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Because
I wouldn't,
I don't know though, if you guys ask nicely, maybe that's what it is.
well,
we did have a person that was doing it. Lori gave me his name.
Yeah.
But then
Oh,
when
yeah.
I talked to him, they shut him down, that he's no longer in charge of that.
It-
And he told me that you got to go through 311.
John, that was a quarterly program.
No,
Okay,
I know
they
that.
came to our neighborhood council. It wasn't me that I was working. I just so happened, I went around and gave them information, but that was for potholes. Okay, and I actually reported, because I couldn't find any potholes, so I reported the alley behind the assistance league because it was such a mess, and they put some Band-Aids on there.
Right. Well, what they said though, but they did away with his position and he was doing something else now. There is that group is no longer doing potholes either. So everything has to go through 311.
it's my understanding that the city is receiving in the neighborhood of $1.4 billion in relief money from the federal government. I know that 80 to 90 to 95% of it needs to go, probably will go, to the unhoused issue and related issues. But maybe there's a pot of 40 or 50 million bucks in there to repave some alleys or streets. As I said, I know there's a schedule. Somebody has a book somewhere that lays out when every single street in the city is scheduled for repaving, what kind of repaving, and et cetera. And it stretches out for decades. If alleys are not part of that, then I think we need to take the temperature of the people who live on these alleys, at least on a small scale, and decide if it's worth pursuing with the city, bringing alley refurbishment into the mainstream. So I guess more to follow on this.
Mhm.
Any other comment? Thank you. John, will you, there seemed to be a little bit of more information, am I correct, on the skate park on Channel Street?
Yeah, I got a response from Axel this Monday or no,
Yeah.
Friday.
Tell our guest
And-
who Axel is.
Axel is part of in charge of getting to see about making the skate park on Channel Street opened up again. Axel,
He
what's his
works
last
in the
name?
council office?
yeah, it's Palacio, Axel Palacio. And he works there, and he works for things like this, the park and all that. And I've been going back and forth with him since last November. And there was a little hiccup here, as everyone knows, if they were in our last meeting, that one of the port officers, he was there, and we have no business being in that area because it still belongs to the port police and everything else. So, but what I got from him now is that the next 30 days, it's going to committee, that they finally got the rest of the paperwork fixed and got their dots, dotted their I's, crossed their T's. So now it's going into committee, and it should be, actually it was going today or tomorrow, and it should be released, and within 30 days, hand over to the Skate Association, where Andy Harris is with. And if that's the case, he said, that gets done, then Andy will start fixing it up, getting all the safety rails and everything he has to do to bring that skate park up to speed. And Axel said we probably will see that skate park open by the end of summer. And so, but he's going to keep me posted on the on this last letter that went out. So they needed this to be the last thing to have the port, turn it over to the skate park.
Good. So as I understand it, the property is now under control of or owned by the General Services Office in the city. It will be policed by Port Police.
Yeah.
And it will be not controlled, but operated by the San Pedro Skate Association. Is that correct?
Right. Right now, it's the Port Police. But once this is all done and given over to the association, the Skate Park Association,
yes,
Port Police is out. Now it'll be LAPD Harbor. It'll go back. It'll be them now. Yeah, they're
good.
Right now. A couple, like I said, about 2-3 weeks ago, Andy went out there to do some cleaning, and they threw him out. Port Police came and tossed him out. Yeah, because
they were doing their job.
No business being here. Yeah, you have no business being here. Doesn't belong to you yet. So
well, I'm glad it's reaching some kind of resolution, that they're negotiating it, and we will hope for a completion by the end of summer. That would be great.
Hopefully, if nothing else comes up. Yeah.
Everything we talk about in these meetings, John, we should add hopefully with hope too.
Yeah.
It is to be hoped, I think is the phrase. Thank you, John. The status of the defense, the fuel depot on North Gaffey Street, the Naval Fuel Depot, has not changed. I had an email from the Public Information Officer in Seal Beach for the Navy yesterday saying that it is still, that the Navy is still negotiating with the one bidder who they selected to deal with as a potential lessor of the property, or lessee for the property. So we do not know yet what they're thinking, whether it'll be turned into a tea garden or a junkyard or a complete oil refinery. We don't know.
Yeah.
We will certainly once it's comes out of the cone of silence that the Navy has it in, we will let everybody know and take appropriate action, whatever it is we can do at that point. Our number one goal, as far as I'm concerned, is to avoid heavy industrial reuse, namely above ground storage of fuel. That is to be avoided at all costs, we hope. So more to come. They have been in negotiations since the end of January, apparently, which is earlier than I believed it was, but they're still working on it. We move on now to Vic. Would you like to?
I'm gonna make Vic a co-host because he's got some update pictures.
Okay, good. Good.
know, whatever needs to be done to let me share.
Well, first you need a body.
But it's easier to share if my head just floats away.
That's true. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can lean over and we'll see the whole thing. Ooh, look at
Okay,
that.
Vic,
Oh,
you is now a host.
there we go. Where's the right one? Where is it?
Where's what? Don't lose your head.
Oh, I was looking for the one I wanted to share and it wasn't showing up. There we go. Okay. This is as of this past Sunday, 2 days ago, which effectively means the Friday before, unless they came in over the weekend, which is doubtful. So it's
that?
still in progress. They were working on it today when I went by. But this is the full length, and then I have a few close-ups. You can see where some of them are still sketched out. So this is the beginning of the new mural. And for those who may not be able to see that one clearly, that's a big poppy.
Oh, oh, it's sketched on there. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it may literally be penciled in.
Yes. So the golden poppy, which has brought more misery to the world than any other piece of flora, is highlighted here. Glad of it.
Well, it is the California state flower.
You're absolutely right. Hey, that looked like human children in that last frame.
Yes.
Well, that's good. That's very good.
So,
What does it say? Community garden?
yeah, it said community garden on it. So that is the current state. There's the full one again. And then, of course, the part of the original is my background.
Right.
So I just, that's the update. Nothing other than
Yeah.
just to show you what they have started on the new mural.
Well, if I'm raising my hand. I'm glad it goes all the way up to the eaves. I think that's kind of cool. It's big. I was gonna say it doesn't look a lick like San Pedro, but then the original didn't very much either.
Well, and also remember it's, just in process too. I don't know how realistic it'll look when it's finished. And
Yeah.
and although it may not have looked specifically like San Pedro before, it at least had things that were at the science center.
Right.
It had
And
the
this-
animals, it had the pond, and there is a pond in the new one. I don't know how final it is, but there is one there.
Right. Well, I think the good news to me, Vic, is that it was damaged and the district kicking and screaming maybe, but with your guidance and the guidance of your advisory committee has gotten this done and or
Well,
in the process of being done. I know it's a one-sided thing.
I don't know if I'd say guidance from us. It's more like we talked and they did what they wanted.
Right, exactly. But at least they did it, which is a far cry. I think I've mentioned this before in these meetings. Based on the condition of the place, while your mother was still alive, and maybe even while your dad was still alive, progress is being made. And I think it speaks well for the neighborhood around the school and I guess the willingness of the district to work with it in some way.
That's probably a good way to put it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a
I
much
didn't
more
want to tip
positive-
over into,
That's a much more
maudlin.
positive way than I would have put it.
I understand. I understand how you feel. Nonetheless, it's better to have it than to not have it, I think.
So that is all I have for that. item.
Okay. What's the status of the keys and the water leaks and people turning on lights and stuff? Is that under control kind of, or?
The key situation is, as far as I personally am concerned, is the same as it was before. I only have the key to the gate. I have specifically requested the building keys again after sending my whole list of incidents to Mike Romero and got zero response. The lights have still been left on periodically. I haven't heard of any water like before being left on, but you know, it all keeps happening now and then.
Okay,
Lights are the biggest problem.
I see Lori's hand is up. I just wanted to ask if, do they appear that they will eventually give you a key, or they're just tap dancing?
At best, tap dancing, silent
Okay.
tap dancing. Because I mean, they haven't even come back. You know, whenever I say something about it, they don't even acknowledge that I said anything and respond.
Sounds like a bureaucratic position, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Lori, oh, go,
I had
sorry.
a question for Vic. I wanted
Sure.
to understand, Vic, what your role is with the Science Center and why they should be giving you the authority to have a key.
I am a part-time employee of LAUSD and my job title is community liaison. So I am kind of the middleman between the community and the Science Center. And my job site for LAUSD is actually the Science Center.
Okay, but have you had a key to it before?
Prior to the 2019 school year, so basically 2017 to 2019, I had keys to everything. I had building keys, I had gate key, I had water key, which is easy to come by separate from that, but
And has your role changed since the time when you had keys?
no.
Okay,
The only change is that they actually are starting a program there. They put the community, let's see what they call it, San Pedro Community of Schools headquarters there. You know, Lou Martisich is the Community of Schools administrator. And they're
So-
actually doing something there now.
so they changed all the locks since then. Okay, and maybe they've changed in their minds what your role is.
Well, that may be, but they've told me as much about that as they've told me about anything else, nothing.
Maybe we should invite Lou Martisich to our meeting.
Well, I think Mike Romero needs to show up too, because he's been
Sure.
silent for months.
Well, probably as they were trying to end the school year, maybe, you know, I don't know if they're like overwhelmed with other things in the scheme of things, but I just wanted to understand, Vic, what your role is and why you would need a key. And when you have a key, you probably have to sign off something that says, you know, what you're responsible for, things like
Oh, yeah.
that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We can certainly invite either of those gentlemen or both to a meeting of our committee, or if you want to see about making that agenda item for the board meeting, that's fine as well. As far as I'm concerned, we can invite them to our next monthly meeting, which I'm writing down. That brings us to the end of our agenda items. Time for public comment about anything not on the agenda.
I have two things, Dan. One, I'm
Very good.
just want to know, since Chuck's not here, is he okay? Is there anything? He just isn't able to be here tonight, David?
No,
Yeah,
Chuck
he-
call. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling well, but he said it wasn't that bad, but he just wanted to, lay back for a while. So
Okay, then
I'll
send,
give him
send
a
him our
ring.
good wishes that we were asking for him.
Yeah, thank you.
I-
I'll give him a ring tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and I did that in the email. I answered him because he emailed us.
Okay, well,
But
just let
told
him
me
know the
that-
whole gang. Okay, is thinking about him. The other thing
will,
is,
thank
so I was gonna bring up what I sent an email for the people who don't know to Dan and John. There was a posting on Nextdoor. As most of you know, they've been, slurring or repaving or whatever the heck they're doing to our streets. So they did Gatun a couple weeks ago and they had signs out said, don't park on Tuesday. We knew that. According to the posts on Nextdoor, and this is just a few people chatting, they had signs out, but then they changed the day that they were actually going to come. So, and I don't know about you, but if I saw signs on my street that said, okay, don't park here on Tuesday, once I saw them, I wouldn't read the signs again. If they changed the day, it wouldn't even occur to me. And the day change might have had something to do with when the trash pickup is. I don't know. But the bottom line is they said a lot of people got their cars towed and it cost almost $400 to get them back. So Dan was saying we probably need to do a little due diligence. This was near the gardens. So I don't know if there's a gardens HOA or somebody we could talk to get information. But I do have concerns. And the other thing is, why don't they ever tell the neighborhood councils ahead of time? As Doug or somebody said, they have a long list schedule way ahead of time. Why can't they give it to us and we could at least try and help publish this? Not that everybody's online, but the more ways we can notify people, the better. So that's as much as I
Great
know.
question. Great question.
Actually, they used to do that.
Yeah,
About once a year, as I recall, they would give you the schedule for your neighborhood council area. And
That's right.
I haven't seen something like that in probably 3 years.
Who did it come from? The Bureau of Street Services?
Yeah, street services. It seemed to me that it might have come through the council office, or I think it might have come direct from street services. though.
So
Well-
we could ask both Street Services and Joe's office.
Yeah, I know we used to get those schedules.
Go ahead, Vic.
I used to live in the gardens and there are associations there. And
5.
when they would repave or slurry the alleys, well, what I call an alleys, but some of them are actually have street names. The association would go around and notify people. When they did the streets,
Mhm.
they would typically also notify people, but that may depend on the HOA involved. So I can't say for sure that every HOA does it the same way. But they do get and they would give notices, they would drop them off at the door, hard copy notices at the door in the mailbox. And they would say, don't park during these days, these hours, or you will get towed or something like that. And they would say, make sure you move your car by this time on this day.
And there
So
were notices, Vic.
some of them are good, some of them maybe aren't. I can't say one way or the other.
What they're saying is that they supposedly changed the date. And again, even if they sent you a note on your door, you might have just looked at it and said, oh yeah, I already know about that. You might not have noticed that there was a
I
date
agree.
change.
If they're changing the date, they definitely need to make more of an effort to make sure people understood that.
And why this is important is if the crew arrives at 6 a.m. or 5 in the morning or whatever, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 cars even in a 2-block area, that would give the appearance that people either didn't care or forgot about it or whatever. Okay, so it's one thing to tow 2 or 3 cars in a large area. So what's important to find out is how many people were actually towed.
Yeah.
If it's 20 cars, I think it's outrageous and there had to be some kind of miscommunication. And for $342 a crack, it seems I'd like on behalf of our neighbors to at least make an inquiry. but we need some actual good information. Lori, did a resident email us about this? Or-
No, I get alerts on Nextdoor. I don't pay that much attention, but this one caught my eye. When I sent it to you, they had the residents' names. I probably could go back into Nextdoor and communicate to them, or are any of you on Nextdoor also?
I am.
You
Yes,
are,
I-
and you didn't see it, John?
No, is this on Next Door Bluffs?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't, I go on it once in a while. I haven't
Yeah, I
been on
know.
it.
So, well, I don't search for things. I get email notices. I kind of, look at the highlight, lost dog or, whatever. So let me look and see. And Dan, what I can do is probably message them through Nextdoor and ask them to contact you or ask for an email address, phone number, what you want me to do.
Does the committee believe this is worth following up on?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not on your committee, so it's not for me to say, but if
No,
if
no,
we
I'm
find out it was
asking-
only 2 knuckleheads, then
Yeah.
we'll say, hey, you're a knucklehead. But if it's really a problem,
I mean, we should look into it and let's see, because like she says, if it's 6 or more people, yeah, we should look into that,
Yeah.
but if it's just a onesie twosies, then they screwed up,
Right.
Okay, I'll try to message them through there and ask them if they can tell me if they know how many cars and give me a little more to the story.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
great, Lori.
I will
Yeah.
do that and report back to you guys.
Thank you.
Gather evidence for us,
Yes,
please.
yes. I will put
We'll
on
call
my
you- we'll-
McGruff hat and my magnifying glass and start.
We'll call you the equalizer.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
like being
Dan?
called McGruff. That was
Yeah,
actually a
McGruff.
nickname at a company once. I'm a
Oh,
sleuth.
gosh.
It-
Yes, David Rivera.
Yeah, they're up there in the gardens. They've been over here in the gardens for about 3 days. And Cynthia Gagne lives in there, so I'll give her a ring tonight
Oh,
or
okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be
And find
super
out
helpful, David.
What happened there if they encountered any situations like that
Super helpful.
at tones, because
I think they were on Stonewood Court today or Dalmatia or something, because there were a lot of cars that were parked on Amelia that
Yeah,
I'm
and,
sure moved down.
you couldn't find a place to park on Westmont either in that area yesterday. So well, I'll give her a ring and see what she got to say.
That would be good.
At least
Well,
some
when
people
they-
got
when-
the memo.
When
Well,
they came last week, that's how it was by us. But the problem is they didn't start till late because they kept forgetting about the trash pickup, okay?
Yeah.
And so I remember, when we had, well, it was actually a couple of weeks ago when they came. And I parked outside and everything. Well, I found out they didn't show up till 11 o'clock, 11:30. Because they waited for the first 2 trash to come in. And then when I came home at 5:30, the lady that was there picking up all the barriers, she goes, yeah, we got tied up till late because of the last truck that came in. We had to let them in, so they had the right, so if that's the case and they're not thinking, they're not looking further ahead to see who and what goes on that day. Is it trash week or
Well,
Well,
if
let-
I could
let
just
me-
add, this
yeah.
is an outreach engagement opportunity too. So even if we find out it was just a couple of knuckleheads, or if we find out it was something a little more serious, this gives us an opportunity. I mean, the gardens, well, not all of the gardens, I think, is considered our area. Part of it crosses over to RPV, but regardless, there's so many tenants there that this is an opportunity to try and have dialogue and say, are you familiar with the neighborhood council? When you have issues, you can come to us. So I'm looking at more as, it can be research, but we could be creating more partnerships.
make it,
Sure.
yeah, get them
And-
to more to come to the meetings more and stuff, yeah.
And
Well, let
actually,
me- let
I
me
think
t-
all of the gardens are San Pedro, but where it crosses over to Strathmore and goes up Tuscany, that's RPV.
Yeah.
Right. But
Okay.
85% of it is San Pedro.
Yeah,
So-
let
Okay,
me,
Doug, go ahead, Doug.
all right, let me tell you a little story about the efficacy of the people who work for the city of LA. Many years ago, they were actually replacing water pipes on Walker around the corner from me. And I used to walk my kids up to school, and we were walking up there one morning. there were cars parked all along Walker where they were going to dig the trench that day. And there were 2 city employees, one from street services, I kid you not, who had a pile of signs, no parking signs, under his arm, screaming at the guy from, the water department, who was screaming back at him about the fact that he'd gotten the day wrong and the sign should have gone up the previous week. And I just remember, I kid you, I thought those guys were going to punch each other. They were standing out in the neighbor's yard in the parkway, like yelling at each other. And I'm like, girls, don't listen to the bad words. Just keep going up the street. Keep going up the street. It'll be fine. But they lost the entire day because street services actually did not show up with the signs the week before.
Well, they came by when they did this at our street, a few weeks ago. They did come by, I think, 2-3 days in advance. And they had stapled the signs. They put one sign on everybody's house too, and left it there. So not only was the poles had the signs, but everybody got the same sign. No parking on this date, what I think it was May 11th, which was Tuesday or whatever. And it says no parking because the street works. Okay, that was fine. But they did give us at least 2 or 3 days in advance.
It was more than
And
that.
Yeah,
Well,
it might have been the week before.
They
too.
did a lot of work in my neighborhood in the last 2-3 weeks. And not on my street, but on the streets up above me off of Walker. And I did notice, because I go up and down Walker all the time, they originally said no parking on this day and then changed it.
But did they
So-
change it on the day that it happened or the day
No, they did
before?
not. No, I did
Okay.
notice, and it said something like no parking Tuesday. Tuesday came and went, and then the next day it was like no parking Friday.
Right.
So it was
I
like, there was
I think
still
that
adequate
happened.
notice. But
I think that
they did
happened here
change
as
it.
well.
Yeah,
And
It
that's where
happened
the
in our
problem
neighborhood.
occurs.
And may I say, it
Yeah.
disturbs me that they can start a project like that at noon and be done by 3:30, 4 o'clock and expect us to believe that coat of paint is going to last very long.
Yeah.
By the way,
and then our
there's still
sign said
There's still
6
drying
to
issues.
6. Yeah, our sign
Yeah.
that they put out in the street said 6 to 6 on Tuesday.
And it's just,
So-
the question here is how many people were,
Yeah.
perhaps the wrong word, but victimized by the towing deal? How many were subject to that? And when did they, Howard Baker used to say, what did they know and when did they know it?
Yeah.
I think it's worth us looking into it on our
Okay.
own behalf.
I will research on my end. And Dan, I had
Thanks.
one last public comment, and I just
Yes.
want to make sure that everything that I have presented today, okay, was in the effort to improve the quality of life in our neighborhood. And in no way did I try to manipulate anybody in any of the words that I said tonight. Just want to make that really clear.
Well, I don't know. I feel pretty manipulated.
Yeah, well,
Listen, I find that last remark very offensive.
Who would
Well,
ever res-
I'm posting it. I'm gonna post it on YouTube now. Forget
I
it.
Well,
resemble
my
that remark. I
question
resemble
is-
that remark.
Yeah, my question is, if you're the equalizer, does that make me the tranquilizer?
it's just some kind of iser, but I just want to make sure I go on record here that
Yeah.
what my intentions are.
Yeah,
Very
thank you for
well.
that statement, Lori.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is somebody's hand still up?
Oh, that's David.
Oh.
Oh,
He's
put
waving
your
at
hand
us.
down. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for attending, especially our student guest. If he's still here, thank you.
He is.
Enrique is here still.
Good, Enrique.
Enrique, do you have anything you want to say? Unmute yourself. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I'm good.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
as
He's a
as my
humble Boy
father-in-law
Scout.
used to say, if you have anything to say for the good of the troop, now is the time.
By the way,
Um,
John,
Yeah.
I have a great joke about altar boys, but it's really naughty. I'll tell it to you
Okay.
sometime. Not
No,
on
no, 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 no.
Zoom.
Thank you, Enrique. Good luck with
Okay.
your merit badge and your career in scouting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great
Bye.
pleasure.
Anytime.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Since
Deanna.
I'm frozen, somebody will have to sign off. John, if you'll do that. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody.
I'll end it.
Adios.
All right, good night.
Have a good
We'll
evening,
move ahead.
everybody.
See you later. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye, David. Vic.
Bye.